Ladies and gentlemen, we have Bill Newell back with us again for another week of highlighting Game of the Week. And I think I know which game you might highlight for Games of the Week because there's two actually. I want you to say it. I'll let you know if that's the one I'm thinking of.
What you want me to say it?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I know you're psychic, but I would go with Salem at Classical. That's the one right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, all right. We're on the same page there. 5 o'clock kickoff at Manning Field. Let me just a lot of your listeners and probably know a lot about Classical. Salem though 5-0. They had a big win over Danvers earlier this year. First time they beat that team in I think like 14 years. They haven't beaten Classical in 19 years as a program. Well, and I talked with Coach Matt Bouchard earlier, and they know that they're trying to be there, but they're a pretty competitive football team this year. With the likes of Corey Grimes, Rocco Ryan, Albert Pujols, and Devontae Azuma. They can pass it, they can throw it, and they're defending, and they've got a Coach Bouchard's very happy with his line, offensive and defensively. So this is a team that's struggled over the last let's say a decade or so. But these guys that are playing now have played. This is their third year playing, so they're experienced.
Yeah, definitely. And they had a rough patch about 2 years ago. These guys, they had a rough patch. I remember they weren't winning that much, and then they weren't very competitive that much. And it seemed like they turned it around really fairly quickly with this group of kids. It started last year. Yeah,
and they haven't. They played a pretty regular schedule here too. So I know they have some tough games coming up. They still have Winthrop and Peabody on their schedule before their Thanksgiving matchup against Beverly. But the playoff team now for sure. And Coach Bouchard also mentioned this. That team defensively, they're reacting to the plays. They're not just waiting around thinking about it. They're making plays because they know how to make plays instinctively now defensively. So that's a big thing. On the other hand, though, Classical has been rolling over people. They have just that one loss, and that was just a tough fourth quarter in Peabody. Other than that, they played Peabody very tough. They led at the half, and this Lynn Classical team has Revere and Everett left on their schedule before the playoffs, and before, of course, English on Thanksgiving. So, this Classical team's been doing it with Brian Vaughn at quarterback. John Naskey's been picking up some yards as a receiver, and as running back, Javon Claiborne also had a big game. Both of those guys, Naskey and Claiborne, with about 100 yards last week of offense for them receiving and running.
Yeah, definitely. And Naskey, I probably would say he'd probably be, if there was an MVP, it'd probably be him, just because his run after catch, how he turns short passes into a bit long touchdown runs, and his open field elusiveness. So he's been on a tear. Classical, they've scored over 30 points their last 3 games. And defense, not only that, their defense hasn't given up that many points either. I think they've got 2 shutouts, and then they gave up 14 against Medford. In the second, and that was all in just the second half. But offensively and defensively, these past 3 games, they've really been playing well.
Yeah, this is a good Classical team. Make no mistake about it. And so Salem, will have to prove that they can stay with a team like this, because this is a team like I only saw the second half of the Peabody Classical game, but I could see that Classical defense flying to the football. They're a solid defensive team, and the other thing that Coach Bouchard's very aware of is how Classical uses their speed on both sides of the football. They're very well coached team, Classical, and so this is a big test for Salem for sure on their 2023 schedule Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. Both of these teams are coming in with scoring a lot of points, but I think it's more important for Classical to get this win, because I'm looking at these MIA rankings right now, and they have Classical right now at 23. So Classical, they need this win to boost their rankings, because at 23 you're not getting into the playoffs. So
yeah.
And you said it, they have Revere and then Everett. That Everett game, that's probably going to be for the GBL regular season title. So the Classical cannot afford a slip up. They need quality wins. This will be one of them, and if they beat Everett as well at the end of the season, that would help their case.
Yeah, and Classical, is poised. They took care of Malden last week, right? And so now they got Salem this week, and then Revere, and then as you mentioned, the Everett game. Yeah, you're right. GBL title, I suppose, right? That would be
Yeah.
something to consider for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Moving forward, yeah.
And then there's one more game that's on the slate for this week, and this is Friday in Swampscott between Swampscott and Danvers. Talked to one of the coaches earlier today, and I'm not too familiar with Danvers, but I'm a little familiar with Swampscott, and from what the coach tells me, this is definitely a big one for them, and it's a big game for them to boost their postseason resume.
Yeah, no, I would say, there are toss-up games there, and this could be one of those really. I think Danvers has Owen Gazanowski as their feature running back, and they run the football, and he's picked up some big yardage in games this year. I think both of these teams, Swampscott's coming off. Let's see, was it just last week the Saugus game, or no? That was 2 weeks
Yeah,
ago.
I think it
Yeah,
was.
no, they played Northeast last week. My mistake. Yeah, they beat Northeast on Saturday afternoon. The Saugus game was 2 weeks ago, but in other words, this I think it'll be a tough test for Swampscott, albeit they, as you said, they are at home. But this looks like a great matchup. You're right.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm looking at right now, Swampscott is ranked number 9 in Division 6. And so definitely quality wins. This is a point of the season when you need the quality wins. You can't, especially when you're at home, you can't have no slip ups because you never know when you get to the end of the season, you might think you have a chance, and then next thing you know, you're not playing in the postseason.
Yeah, you're chipping away, and like it really comes down to these games. Obviously, that Danvers Swampscott, this can make or break a season in certain ways because it tilts you, into the win column, more of a winning team or more of a 500 or team or something like that. So yeah, important games for both of those two schools on Friday night.
Yeah, definitely. Well, which ones will you be at this week?
All right, I'm definitely going to the Salem Classical game, and I may go to a Thursday night game as well. That's there's a couple of Thursday night games, so I'll probably I think I'm going to go to one of those.
Yeah, I'll be at English Malden on Thursday, and I think I'll be double duty Friday. I think I'm gonna try to make the Swampscott game after the Classical game.
Oh, there you go. I did that earlier this year when I went up to Peabody after the whatever the game was I saw earlier at Manningfield. I'll probably go to that. I'm looking at that Peabody Winthrop game.
Oh,
I've seen Winthrop a few times this year, and
yeah,
this is a solid football team. I mean, but they're gonna really be facing it this week with Peabody because
yeah,
Peabody has shown that they've got I would still like to see Peabody again, but they've got size and they've got numbers and they've got speed and skill and so on.
yeah,
So a real tough matchup for Winthrop Friday.
definitely,
Thursday rather. Yeah.
definitely. All righty. Make sure you plug in your website and where they can find your work.
All right, I appreciate that. It's MSONewsports.com, MSONewsports.com. I know you do a lot of the video highlights. We talk with a lot of the coaches and podcasts and so on, reviews and previews. Rick Moore is with me as well on the website. So we're both, we split up the football. And so there's a lot happening in the next few weeks before the playoffs.
Definitely. Who do you have on the podcast this week?
Oh, we got Matt Bouchard from Salem. We also Mark Betancourt from Peabody, Jonathan Cadigan, Winthrop coach. We got both the other game, by the way, Linfield at Amesbury Friday night. Both teams undefeated. We have both of those coaches with interviews on our website. So there's some of the ones that we have. Hoping to get Jim Rudloff too from Marblehead. They won their first game of the year last week at Masconomet. Yeah.
All righty. Always a pleasure. Thank you again. I think next week you might the game of the week. I think you might know what that game is next week.
No, I don't.
Oh man, just look at your calendar. You'll see it. Everybody's gonna be there. It's a Saturday one too.
All right, I got it. Oh, maybe I do. Maybe I do now. All right, we got it. Okay. Good seeing you again.
Yes, sir. Thank you.